Hello, this is OT Khaled. So I just wanted to make a deck profile for the Call of the Haunted deck that I made a couple combo videos for. The first one should be uploaded before this video, but however I decided to do it. But yeah, I'll be releasing a couple more combo videos just to show you guys how it works. But yeah, this is the list. So the deck plays 18 non-engine. So I'm currently playing Ash, Bell, Warner, Vela, Imperm, Thua. So the reason why, these cards, these 9 are mandatory in deck. So the reason why is because it facilitates this card working so well. Also, I do like these cards because low impact in a control deck format, which is what we're currently in right now. I believe being able to cut off decks like Radiant Typhoon, being able to just spam low values, just instantly just turn skips them a lot of the time, and then makes them end on a half board. And also against Detail, being able to, I feel like mirroring Lucius and stopping the Albert stuff is really important. And the thing is, if they have a card like 5 minute that just makes them dodge, they'll blink through it anyway. So I've been liking the Detail matchup and the Radiant Typhoon matchup, even though Radiant Typhoon matchup is probably one of the strongest into this deck. Outside that, this deck has a lot of merits. But anyway, so the other hand traps, I just don't want to play a card like Nib. It's just too low value in this format. It doesn't do enough into Detail and Radiant Typhoon. But in terms of starters, I'm playing 3 Pumpkin, 3 Snakehair, 3 Gozuki, 3 Ectoplasm, 1 Prosperity, 1 Foolish Burial, and Glow Up Bloom. These are the starters. There are 15 starters in the deck. Glow Up Bloom is a starter because you play Link Creeper, so you normal summon it, link it off, or if your opponent sends it to grave. And then you search your Pumpkin, Snake, or Eldritch, anything really. So the reason why I decided to go for this list, so this deck could technically play Impulse, but the problem is this deck is that it has a little bit of a Bell problem. Bell isn't played as much now, in my opinion. I feel like people, I just haven't seen it as much. But the decks that still do play Bell, this deck, when you Bell the Call of the Haunted, it is pretty strong. But when you play cards like Gozuki, which is an Earth, by the way, which is the best normal summon in the entire deck in my opinion, for this deck. This card basically says Ignition Effect, Foolish Zombie. But the reason why it's so good is because it has a secondary effect which helps you when you're trying to combo, or when you're playing into a board. If your opponent removes the Gozuki off the field, for example with F and V, you can banish a zombie monster from your graveyard, an Ash, Bell, Mona, Shang-Chi, if you're best case scenario. And then you get to summon a zombie from hand, which allows you to extend. So the amount of times where I've gone Pumpkin Effect, set Call the Haunted, and then I discard another card. For example, let's say it's happened once when I discarded Shang-Chi. Normal summon Gozuki effect, my opponent goes Imperm. I go cool, battle phase, Gozuki crash into the opponent's monster. In damage step, Gozuki banish Shang-Chi, summon Pumpkin, still in damage step, Pumpkin effect summon from deck, Shang-Chi effect banish reborn itself, summon Mammoth, or more realistically, because Mammoth gets sided out when you're going second, Snakehair, crown your opponent's monster. This is all in damage step, by the way. And then you just batten into all 3 of their monsters. And remember, all the guys are big, outside Snakehair. But army is huge, 2400. But yeah, point is that this card is just so broken because going first or going second is just so insane. Because when you go first and you go Pumpkin summon Shang-Chi, then when you link off the Shang-Chi with the Gozuki, it just freely gives you an extra body. But then the cool aspect of this deck is also this is a card I side. So this basically makes your half boards all better. So when you're going first, when you know you're going first, you can afford to play the extra Call of the Haunted. But the whole point is the field spell just cheats out all the Call of the Haunted from your deck to your field, and it can set them from deck or grave. Then it also says when you activate a Call of the Haunted on resolution, target monster your opponent controls, send it to graveyard. So this card basically says set free Call of the Haunted, and then also given an additional interrupt. But remember, the Call of the Haunteds are interrupts because you get to reborn Snakehair and you get to reborn the Pumpkin XE. So the Pumpkin, which summons the Mammoth, and that pops a card. But then here's another cool fact: is that this deck, this card says if this card is special summoned, so it searches a card. But then this is the cool thing about this. So during your opponent's turn, you've already summoned an Undying Legion on top of this card, which means that when you use the Undying Legion to attach to your materials, the third Call of the Haunted is able to reborn this card, and this card just searches any of the like archetypal cards in your deck. So then the cool aspect is that imagine you search this card and you have 3 Call of the Haunteds face up. Even if they removed 1, that's fine. But then you can draw up to an amount of Call of the Haunted. Even though that you wouldn't think this would come up as much, it really does, especially in a control deck like this, because the moment everything is out of your deck is normally by turn 1. Like sometimes Mezuki is not sent or Glow Up Bloom, but that's pretty much it. Outside of that, everything is sent out from your deck. So like the only thing you really want to draw is hand traps. So the fact that this card just basically says every turn draw 3, and the reason why it a lot of the time is draw 3 is because every time I activate this card, I don't leave it on the field for this extra interrupt. What I do is I use the Pumpkin XE to bounce this back to my hand, which means every single turn I'm just going to keep using Call of the Forgotten, resetting 3 Call of the Haunteds, and then I use one of the Call of the Haunteds because I use Pumpkin effect that turn, and then send one of their monsters. Then when I make the XZ, I just bounce back to my hand. So that means basically like you just have infinite grind game, especially like so you can just you normally always win like whenever you go first, especially like post side obviously. But like, this deck is just really strong. Being able to end on Vortex of Time, having Varudras consistently on all your end boards is like the main merit to play this deck. You end on double Omni with like a really strong follow up, really good half boards, and a good amount of hand traps, and a good amount of starters. Like the only like I would say like the cards that like I would say is just like bad to open is just these 2. The only reason this card is bad to open, by the way, is because this card like it can't set the Call of the Haunted from hand, and then you can like activate it. You can do it from deck or grave, which means if you open these 2 together, it's a brick. But if you go second and like you open like Eldritch Call of the Haunted, or like a way to search Eldritch like Glow Up Bloom, or for example just a way to send Eldritch either way, you can just you can set the Call of the Haunted, and then Eldritch sack it, or Eldritch in hand, pitch the Call of the Haunted, and out your opponent's card. And there's a bunch of like different ways to facilitate it, which is really cool. But the main point is that like even though that's a weakness of the deck, it's very fixable in this version because you have like a lot of different copies of Eldritch. Oh, and this as well. So there's like lots of different ways to like recur from that, and it's not like the biggest problem. I remember like this is a one-off, like, and like post side it's not a problem because you're playing free. And like you play free because a big reason as to why you play free is because sometimes you don't bounce back the Call of the Haunted or sack this Call of the Haunted. So what you do instead is leave the Call of the Haunted face up with the 2 new sets of the Call of the Haunted, which means that when your opponent activates a card, rather than you having to use the Varudras, like let's say they use an impactful board breaker, rather than having to use Varudras to contend for it, what you can do is use Vortex of Time, because one of the Call of the Haunted is still face up, rather than having to like how you would normally have to do it, which is activate Call of the Haunted once your opponent commits a card, and then like you either pop it or crown it, and then you do the Vortex of Time. This way, when you have the Call the Haunted already face up, it means that you just beat any form of like double board breaker that they can hit you with. Because if they go like Lightning Storm Droplet or something, you just go Vortex of Time on the Lightning Storm. And then like they Droplet negate the Varudras, but you still have Call the Haunted, plus like Undying Legion, hand traps. Even if they like negated the Undying Legion and the Varudras, like you still have 5 interrupts, and your opponent only has like 4 cards in hand, 3 cards in hand. So your deck's really strong. And then another thing I'd like to add, yeah, it's like the Eldritch cards are really strong because these cards out Liger. So Eldritch can add itself back to hand and special summon itself, and it becomes 3/5. And then what you can do is like boost it with Ectoplasm by 400 to make it 3/9. It can't be destroyed by card effects, which means you battle into your opponent's Liger and you kill it. But then the way how you out double Liger is by summoning Flying Mary, which is this link to you, and then you reborn Eldritch, and then Eldritch, and then you make the link 1, which is Fallen Angel of the Golden Land, and then you Eldritch sack the Call the Haunted, add back summon, and then you activate Ectoplasm. It's 39, and you have Fallen Angel of the Golden Land. You Eldritch battle into one of the Ligers, and then you Fallen Angel crash into the second Liger. Then Fallen Angel says, summon this guy from the extra deck, and then he's a 3800 monster attack that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, which means you just crash itself into the Liger. Then monster dies, and monster doesn't, and then you just look at them and make a Varudras. Like right after you do it. But yeah, point is that the deck is really good into like Rogue and all that, but also especially into meta. Link Rebo over Almirage, because sometimes you'll open Gozuki plus Bloom and you want to like use the Gozuki like for combo, then you link off the Gozuki, summon the Bloom, and like you just have the leftover Bloom for bans, and you have nothing to link off into. Using Link Rebo is worth it. With Almirage, it's only special summon monsters, not normal. It's only normal summon monsters, not special summon monsters, so you won't be able to do in that scenario. Even though Almirage is cool because of the protection from Fallen the Virtuous, it's just you don't want to have some random thing happen where like you just can't use the Glow Up Boom for any sort of reason. But yeah, you're also playing 16 stars post side because of Glow Up. And then Vampire Sucker is really broken because you can like draw a lot of cards. Not just that, I remember, yeah, this deck doesn't really have a normal summon. So one time I just put 2 monsters on the field and I had an Eldritch in hand. I just summoned Vampire Sucker, then Tribute summoned what was it? Oh, then Vampire Sucker gave them a body, and then Tribute over that body to someone like Eldritch, plus like one of my other guys. So like you can do like a lot of like different cool stuff, and like it's because their monster becomes a zombie monster, by the way. And you also draw a card, so it's like you technically don't neg on the value because you use 2 bodies, give your opponent 1, but you draw 1, then you get the Tribute over their card. It's like it's niche, but like, it's mainly used as a draw card. SP, just because it's SP, sometimes you just have it on your end board. M7 because you're able to add back hand traps. Also, in your opponent's turn, when you call the Haunted Reborn Pumpkin, it literally just summons another 6 from deck, which means you can just make any 6 and then add any hand trap, starter, whatever you may need. Also, just to let you know, the only lock into zombies, like from like everywhere, is this. But then in terms of this lock, it only locks you from the hand or grave. It doesn't lock you from the extra deck. That's the reason why you're still able to make Varudras and everything. It just locks you from the hand and grave, not from the extra deck. So then, yeah, Lars is just to have an extra Omni, 2 of these because this card is just like good recursion, good follow up. It just keeps bouncing back your cards. And then also, Wallow is here because this card can be summoned on top of any rank 6 zombie monster. So what people have done to me is I activate a card, they impulse me. I can make a wallow, steal their impulse, set it to my field, and then slap an Undying Legion on top of it. So basically, wallow just translates into a double interrupt. Like someone has like a call by, a talent, the amount of times I've just stolen their talent, stolen their call by, set it to my field, slap Undying Legion on top of it. It's so broken. And not just that, this card is also like another way that you can technically beat Liger, because it makes your monsters gain 100 for each monster, for each card in your opponent's grave. So it's like this card's like pretty strong. But yeah, Lars is it's like a bit win-more, but like just against board breaker decks, like you being able to have it is kind of nice. Not just that, it's like if let's say like on the turn one something happens to your use Varudris, use Vortex of Time, you don't really have like another high impact extra deck card in your in here. Like everything else is just good, but then Lars is really broken because you're able to like just use the pumpkin, bounce it back to extra deck, resummon it again if you wanted to in that scenario. So that makes it like really valuable. Not just that, like against like huge combo decks, like for example, let's say something like Memento. If you do have the hand and you can make Lars, it's just way better. Because in my opinion, IP sucks, and also Lars plays around Super Poly really well, because this deck a lot of things are like dark. So like you can make Mud Dragon with like Undying Legion in this, but then the fact that this card is basically untouchable makes it really cool. But yeah, I just wanted to explain like the cards that I'm playing. But yeah, I feel like the deck is really cool. This is just because for like combo decks, this is for Radiant Typhoon and Detail, because you can really turn skip them with all like your low impacts, and then you just use this to clear up like cards like Flame and all that. And not just that, Sting is very good into this deck. Like when you call the Haunted Reborn monster. Outside that, Flame doesn't really do much, because look, you need like 6 spells in this entire deck. Like, you barely ever need to go into it. Not just that, the fact that like outside Fallen the Virtuous, they're not able to actually check the Call the Haunted, means that you're always able to beat 5 mana with cards like Vortex of Time, which is really underrated. Not just that, you have to remember that like with how many hand traps you're playing, they're not really going to be making your end board that much at a time. So yeah, I think I've gone through everything I wanted to go through. Yeah, this deck does a lot of cool stuff, especially with the way that it's able to manipulate the zombie hand traps. Like especially when you get a hand trap, just to show like, I think I explained this in the combo video, but I didn't really show it. But I'll just show it here, just to give an understanding of like cool stuff that you can do, like what other decks do, like for example Malice, like when they ash your fool, for example. So in the scenario where, let's just say you have a 2-card combo, and let's just say I draw like 3 blanks, like these cards don't really matter. Actually, I'll just put it back as well. Okay, so now I go Pumpkin Effect, set Call the Haunted, then discard a card, and then I go Call the Haunted effect to reborn, affect the pumpkin, my opponent goes Fua, I go Ash Blossom, obviously. Now I summon Shang-Chi, being able to go Shang-Chi, send Mezuki effect, reborn Ash, and then here, make pumpkin effect, search Snakehair get Vortex, and then pumpkin effect, bounces back to my hand, So, and then on top of that, slap Undying Legion. It's like, for me personally, I just think this is so cool, because I had a 2-card combo. I had a 2-card combo, and I used Ash Blossom, so I only had 1 card, but I somehow get back to 4 interruptions. Because I have the Suck, I have the Pop or the Crown, the Omni Negate, and the fact that this is just a random Omni Negate, like for no reason, plus banish monsters my opponent, like, it's so stupid, because like a cool like action that you can do is like, let's say you call the Haunted, reborn, and then you summon and then you summon the Mammoth, and then this backfires, and then this card backfires, and then I have to banish this. This card doesn't leave the field. So if I have like any form of like extension, like Army of the Haunted, I can summon it. Eldritch, I can sack it. Like there's just so much things. Like it's so cool the fact that the Call of the Haunted stays on the field. But yeah, that's all for the video. I just wanted to show you guys like the theory, explain some of the cards, help you have an understanding. Hopefully, you guys have understood more, like as like the strong points of the deck. Of course, every deck has weaknesses. This deck, Thorn of Virtuous is pretty strong into it, but the whole point is that cards like Vortex of Time mitigate that. Cards like Gozuki mitigate it. Because remember, they can only pop face ups, not face downs. So you can't just like snipe it. With MST, that card's pretty strong, but once again with the Vortex of Timelines, and not just that, post side, you're ready for it with these types of cards. Not just that, you have 9 imperms, which is really strong into Radiant Typhoon, like being able to prevent them from like setting mandate, getting access to a bunch of MSTs is all really, really strong. So yeah, I feel like this deck has a lot of merits. I feel like this deck is really, really strong. I've really enjoyed playing it. I would genuinely consider it as like a real choice for its control decks. And like I haven't been playing this deck for like a crazy amount of time, but like I've already gotten this far in terms of theory. I feel like the deck has like been performing well in like testing against my friends and stuff. And yeah, I feel like it's been really good. Obviously, it's no Memento. Like Memento is like #1. Darwin. but like I have to say that when it comes to like a really fun control deck, I would really, really recommend this. And yeah, like I haven't solved everything out so far, but yeah, I feel like I've taken the deck to a really, really good place as far as I can tell. I haven't really had problems with it recently. But yeah, I'm looking to see more zombie support, and hopefully this deck can become a lot more relevant in the future once Radiant Typhoon comes out the format, because I feel like it's a bit misplaced at the moment. But yeah, if more support comes out as well, I don't see why this deck couldn't be a really, really good deck. But yeah, that's all from me. I hope you have a lovely day again, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.